What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? So I'm gonna wait a little bit while people start coming in. Man, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. What's up, guys? So as y'all come in, man, you could hear my voice. Been dealing with, a little cold this week. But guys, I want to talk about tonight. I want to like the whole month of this month. I'm talking about house hacking, right? And it's one of the easiest ways for you to get involved in real estate and start out in real estate, especially if you're a beginner investor. But the thing is, I want to tell you about my experience as well. So remember as well, guys, shoot out your questions, and if I could see them, I'm gonna answer them, right? Because that's one of the things I'm here for as well. So if you have a question about real estate, I'm here to help you as well, to the best of my ability, right? So let's talk about my experience as far as house hacking. When I first started out, I house hack as well, right? Now, when we started, it's like we had a plan, right? We had a plan to make sure that we have our expenses lower, because at a point too, we was building our house. And while we was building our house, right, the amazing part about it is, let me tell you the result of even house hacking. When you house hack, you save money. Your expenses gets lower. With that, we was able to furnish our house completely debt free, right? So we move into a house furnished, and we didn't owe any money. We didn't have to go and put anything on a credit card. We didn't have to go and say, all right, we need this type of furniture, so let's put it on a credit card for now, or borrow this, borrow that. No, we actually had the whole thing saved up, because when we was doing house hacking, we rented, right, while we was building our house. And when we was building our house, we had somebody living with us, and they were paying the rent, or almost most of the rent at the time. We had our expenses. We have to take care of lights, all that stuff. But that's how we were able to do it, right? So when somebody coming into real estate, you can do the same exact thing, right? Don't believe that. And again, the house that we was living in, it wasn't for us to say, all right, it's a perfect house. We knew what the result was going to be. We had our mindset. We had our goals in mind. So sometimes you have to think with the end in mind, right? A lot of us, when we're getting into real estate or we're buying our first home, we want this nice, extravagant home, right? But at the same time, if you want to invest in real estate, and you say, well, you need a certain vehicle, or the easiest vehicle to start off with, one of the easiest ways to go by it is doing the house hack, right? And when you do that, yes, you may not get the perfect house, right? And then when you do get the house, you have to think about what's the result, what you're gonna do with the house. So you're saying, well, if you want privacy, then you know that you're not going to get a single family. You're going to look for a house with a basement. You're going to look for a separate thing with a garage, where you could turn the garage into a different room. You're going to look for a duplex, a triplex. You're going to be looking for those. But if you're saying, well, you know what, I'm okay with sharing a room, because right now I'm living with somebody else. A lot of people out there right now, they can't afford to live by themselves, right? You can only afford to pay half of something, right? Half of the rent. So right now, if you're in a position right now where you could say, you know what, let me go ahead and get a house, or get a condo or something, right? A 2-bedroom condo, or a 2-bedroom townhouse, or a 3-bedroom townhouse. And then you purchase that, and you bring those same people that you're renting with, you bring them in that house with you, and let them pay your mortgage. That's the way you could do it as well, right? And there's different ways that you could get. I again, inside my program, I teach you different ways that you could get money. Okay, so there's different ways that you could get money. Sometimes you don't even need money when it comes to that, because there's different programs that you could do. But when we talking about my experience, when I started house hacking, that's how I did it, right? We was building our house, And at the time when we were building our house, we said, all right, um, we had somebody living with us, and we shared the rent. We split the rent, and we was able to save up a lot of money at that point, right? We was even able to take certain trips as well, right? So those are the things you might not see. You might say, well, you know what, you might not want to say, all right, you might just want to do a vacation a year or something. You want a little bit more freedom. You want a little bit more stress. And this is a way that you could do it as well. An easy way, and an easy vehicle to get into real estate. Now, let me tell you this. Everybody have their own reasons to get in real estate. Everybody have their own reason for investing. My main reason was the freedom. Okay. I wanted freedom. I hated when people tell me when I can take off, and when I want to take off, why I'm taking off. I don't like that. Okay. It's just the type of person I am, I guess. But I hate the feeling because I'm a human being, right? Some of us, it's like because we're used to it, it doesn't seem any way. But for me, I never liked the feeling of asking somebody for time from to take my time to go spend with my family, my kids, or if my wife was sick, right? Because that's one of the main reasons too, was my wife dealt with lupus. At the time we were selling cars and she dealt with lupus. So with that, there was a lot of doctor's appointment, guys. And when I say a lot of doctor's appointment, I'm talking about we used to go to the doctor's appointment probably three times out of the week. Every single week we have some kind of doctor's appointment. She had up to 8 doctors, right? So we're always going to doctor's appointments. So I'm always asking them, and part of it too, I'm gonna be real with y'all. So a lot of times I just go to them and tell them I can't be here because if they tell me, if I go in and I ask them to go to the doctor with my wife and they tell me no, then I'm walking out. So it's like I go in and I tell them, well, listen, my wife have to go to the doctor. I'm not gonna be here. I'll be here later on, right? But the thing is, I felt when I go to them and tell them, I always have this feeling like, yo, you're always going, you're always doing this, you're always doing that. And then not only that, we had a firstborn, and I'm really big when it comes to parenting. I'm really big as far as being there for my kid. At the time, I have 2 boys now, but I'm really big on being there for my son, right? Because my dad was there for me. My dad was there at all my soccer games. So I know what it felt like to be there for having a parent there. So I said that I'm not going to mess that up. I want my kid to have the same feeling. I want my kid, when he scores a goal, when he passes a ball, he look over to the side and look over to the side and his dad is there, right? And his dad is cheering for him. I wanted that. So every Saturday, knowing you got, if you know about the car business, right? You know that on Saturdays you can't take off. You have to be at the meetings. You have to make sure that you're there. And after the meeting, I made sure I was at the meeting. But after the meeting, I was gone, right? I was like, yo, peace it. I'll be back after my son game. And I was like, I'll be back after my son game. Fire me if you want to, but I made sure that I did everything that I needed to do. I made sure that I was selling my cars. I made sure I was doing my shit, right? So they can't talk shit. It's not like they could automatically fire me because I wasn't producing anything. I was selling cars at the same time. So those are the things that got me to want more freedom. I want freedom because my wife was sick with lupus, right? She ended up losing her kidneys, right? She ended up losing her kidneys, had a kidney transplant, but that was later on. But that was the result of the lupus because she had to stop work, right? And because she had to stop work, because she was selling cars as well, they told her, listen, if you don't stop selling cars and you're in the sun, this is only making it worse. And there was times where my wife, I had to lift my wife up, take her to the bathroom, right? Just because of what she was going through. There was times where she couldn't walk. There's times where she couldn't even breathe. She had to sit up in the bed to sleep. So there was all these type of stuff that we was dealing with. And I'm like, man, you know what? I need the freedom. I hate feeling how I feel. So when you're talking about getting into real estate, everybody have a reason. I have a lot of reasons to be in real estate. I have a dad that, like, I admire because of what he did, right? But also I want to provide for my parents. I come from a background where it's like I feel like I'm obligated. I'm from Jamaica, so I feel like I'm obligated to do everything possible for my parents when they're older. And I guess because when you grow up in the islands, is like, you have that feeling, that you have to take care of your parents when they get older, right? But now it's like I always wanted to buy my dad a car, right? Now, so far, I've probably bought my dad about 3 cars, but I haven't bought him the car that I really want to buy him, right? I haven't bought the car that I really want to buy him, and I'm gonna buy him that one day, right? But I bought him some cars, a few cars, not some, a few cars so far, right? So those are the things that fuel me to make me say, listen, I want freedom. And for you, it might be your kids. For you, it might be, you know what? I want freedom. For you, it might be, you want to retire your husband, you want to retire your parents. Everybody have a different reason why they get into real estate. But the thing that blocks people is sometimes you share your dream or you share your idea with people that are stuck too. And because they're stuck, they want you to be stuck with them, right? So sometimes you have to go out there and take action and do it. And that's what me and my wife did, right? We start looking, and it's crazy. I don't think I have enough time to go like in depth with my story, but the thing is, I looked at my wife. We had already bought a piece of property to build a house, and I looked at my wife and I said, we drove by, because I believe in exposure. I believe in manifestation. I believe in when you want something so bad, you have to put yourself in front of it. You visualize it. You drive in that neighborhood. You tell yourself you're gonna live there. You picture yourself, doing certain things. And there was this neighborhood that I really loved, and it was on the water. You could fish back there. You could canoe. You could do all kind of stuff. And I'm like, yo, I want to live here, right? And every day at lunch, right? Every day at lunch, I used to drive in that neighborhood. I know every single street, every single corner. If somebody told me a house, I could tell you the color house. That's how I knew that neighborhood, right? And I looked at my wife. We was gonna build somewhere else. I looked at my wife and say, all right, you know what? We're gonna buy this property here, this land here. And at the time, she looked at me, right? We wasn't married yet. We wasn't married yet, and we didn't bring things together financially yet. And she's like, well, how are we gonna get the money for that? I said, don't worry, I got it, right? And that was it. Like, we knew what we needed, right? We knew what we needed as far as numbers, because I'm really analytic. I'm really down to numbers. So that's the thing. And that's the thing when you get into real estate, you have to be really good with numbers. You have to know how to analyze deals. That's one of the things as well. So if I'm doing a deal, it has to make sense. And for me, this deal, how I felt about where we was, that piece of land, I'm like, yo, it's a no-brainer. We bought that piece of property. Now, we spent 62 grand. I know I'm getting a little personal here, but we spent 62,000 for that land that we built the house on, right? And at the time, we was like, it was surreal, because when we was doing it, right? And at the time I was house hacking, right? So we was saving money. And I'm talking about my experience with that. So it was surreal, because now we see everything coming together, right? And when we finish that house, there's people, and I'm telling you this because you're gonna experience the same thing as well, where when you start doing stuff, there's people that are gonna come to you and say how you're doing this, how you're able to afford this, right? And it's all about knowledge. It's all about mindset, because I had someone coaching me back then to let me know what to do. And once you get a coach involved, once you get people around you that know what they're doing or have experience doing it, then you will have the proper guidance. But when people come around and they're saying you must be doing something illegal to do it, or you can't afford to do this, how is it possible? Those people you have to separate yourself from. You have to always put yourself around positive people. You have to put yourself around people that's feeding you, and that you could grow with, right? You don't want to be the smartest person in the room, okay? You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. At that point, you're going to feel like you're being drained, okay? So um, that's part of my story. I know I got really deep into it, but that's part of my story. That's how we were able to house hack. We saved up our money, right? To where then we can do a lot more, right? We could invest more. And then we took that money, and then from there we start buying more. We start doing more, right? So when you're doing real estate, or when you're purchasing properties, or even when you're saying, you know what, my first property that I'm looking at, you got to make sure that properties are cash flowing. Okay. That's one of the things when you're like, key thing is you can't just say, all right, let me go buy this house for 150,000, right? And I can rent it out for, I think I can rent it out for 2,000, right? There's no thinking. There's no thinking. You have to know how to analyze deals. You have to make sure that when you're house hacking, you have to make sure that there's going to be cash flow. If you're house hacking to begin with, your expenses is going to be less. But as you go along, you have to make sure that you're analyzing deals to where it makes sense. Okay. To where now you're comfortable with cash flow, because there's always a result that you're looking for. There's always an end in mind that you're thinking about. So you have to think with the end in mind when you're investing in real estate. Don't just say, you know what, I want to buy a multifamily, but I would like to have a single family as well. Oh, I would like to do commercial space. No, what the hell do you want to do? If you're talking about you want to do all this shit, then you're not gonna do anything. I'm gonna be real with you. You're not gonna do anything. What's up, guys? As y'all coming in, I see y'all coming in. Let me know. Let me know if you guys have any questions as well. So the thing is, you have to know what you're doing when you're getting into real estate. So when you're house hacking, when you're talking about you want to do house hack, okay, do you want to give up your privacy? If you don't want to give up your privacy, then again, you need to get a space where, you have a separate space, a basement, like I said, 2 unit, 3 unit. You could separate yourself with a garage or something. You could do stuff like that, right? Now, I've seen crazy stuff. And when I say crazy stuff, there's even ideas where if you have a big piece of property, depending on where you are, you could say, you know what? Let me go ahead and build a tree house in the back. It will cost me 40 grand or so. You get somebody, it cost me 40 grand. Or you buy a tiny house if you have a big enough lot, right? You could buy a house, buy a tiny house, put the tiny house in the back and Airbnb that out, right? You could Airbnb out that. You have people that are doing containers, right? That you could go ahead, buy a container, those are all things that you could look into. But again, when you're getting in, you have to know exactly what you want to do. You can't just say, yo, I see somebody doing commercial. I see somebody doing multifamily. I see somebody doing flips. I see somebody doing wholesaling. I see somebody buying single family home. I want to do it all. No, you notice they're focused on one stuff, right? And then when they know what they're doing as far as that, then you could go ahead into other things, right? Now, again, when you're house hacking, you just got to make sure, because you got to make sure you know what you're doing as far as what the result that you're looking for. Okay. So when you house hack, there's a lot of things that you're going to learn in the process, right? You're going to learn how to manage property management, because at the end of the day, you're collecting rent from someone. Okay. So you're collecting rent from someone. So you're learning the business as well once you go along. So you start learning how, you start learning how to collect rent. You start now you're filling out contracts, because when that person is living with you, you want to make sure, not because they're your friend, not because they're your family member, that means that, oh, come live with me and pay me $600. What if they're not paying you $600? What if they look at you and say, yo, I don't have the money this month. Next month come, I don't have the money this month. The following month come, That's too much. The following month come, I don't have the money this month. Now, because they're your family member, you're not seeing anything, but you're grumbling. You'd be like, yo, what the fuck, man? I could be doing this with, I could be renting out to somebody else and getting that 600. So the thing is, when they're in there, you can't just kick them out because they're living in the property. There's a way that you have to go by doing it legally. Because if you kick somebody out now, they can actually sue you. Okay. So there's things that you have to make sure that you have contracts in place, right? So that when they sign it, if they don't pay their rent, you evict them. It's simple as that, right? You're also learning how to do property management. Okay. That's one of the big things for me is knowing how to manage your stuff. Because the thing is, even when you hire a property management, don't think that, oh, I have a property management, they're taking care of everything, so I'm good. Never. I'm gonna say this, right? Because a lot of you guys are beginner investors. When you're coming into real estate, don't just say, oh, I'm gonna hire property management and everything is gonna be good. For one, property management are in business to make money, and they're not making money from the tenant. They're making money from the landlord. Okay? They can't collect money from the tenant. They can collect money from you. And how they collect money from you is, oh, this is broken. And then if you give them the authority to fix certain things without even asking you or without you signing off on it, you'll find out that, you're supposed to get in $400 a month after you pay them, right? But now when you get a check and you see $100, you'd be like, yo, why is only $100 deposited in my account? I don't get it. Oh, we had to fix this. We had to fix this. We had to fix this. And then you look at it and be like, oh, okay. But not knowing that it doesn't cost that much, they get away with it. But now, when you're doing it, when you're doing property management yourself, that's why I always recommend sometimes you manage, if you only buying your first property, manage that first property yourself. Okay? Get a little bit into it. Put yourself in a situation where, you have skin in the game, like I would say. That way you could learn the property management. I'm not saying, well, you need to do it for a lifetime. If you do it and you like it or you're used to it and you say you don't mind, all right, go ahead and continue to do it. But what you want to make sure that you're doing is you want to make sure that you're learning what needs to be done. If something happens, this is what you do, right? This is what you have to do. This is what stuff costs. So if something happened, when you call a handyman or you get somebody to fix it, you know what it costs to fix. So when they're knocking you over the head and say, yo, this is what it's going to cost, you be like, hold up. Nah, 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 nah. It's okay. Let me call somebody and go ahead and let them fix it, right? And then they fix it for $100 cheaper than what the property management will charge you. Because a lot of times, even in their stuff, the property management will say, listen, we will charge you 25% above what the cost is. So you have to make sure that you're looking at certain things when it comes to property. You just handing off your properties to property management. So there's a lot of things that goes hand in hand. Now, some people, they don't want a property managed, and it's fine. It's fine, right? He's like, I don't want to deal with the tenant, and it's fine as long as you get the amount of money that you want. Then that's fine. Okay, so that's what you're gonna learn as well as you go and you're doing your house when you house hack, especially as you coming in as a beginner investor, right? And your first property, if your first property is a house hack, then you'll learn those stuff. So when it comes down to it, you know what needs to be done. At the end of the day, guys, we're all here to build wealth. We're all here to say, listen, we want freedom. We want more time. We want more time to do what with the time? Well, I want more time. So if I'm ready, I can take my wife out to lunch, right? I can go pick up my son after school. The school bus don't have to take him home. I can go get him, right? I can drop my kids off to school. I can go take them out of school and have lunch with them, or I can go to school and have lunch with him when it's lunchtime, right? Now, because of COVID situation, we're not able to do that for about, I want to say a good 2 years. And I miss that shit because there's sometimes where it's just a must for me to go and sit down and have lunch with my son, right? And that's the thing that I'm talking about. It's the freedom that real estate and you investing can do for you, right? So everybody that's coming into real estate, you come into real estate for different reasons. When I come into real estate, I wanted the freedom. I wanted to be able to provide for my wife. If my wife needs to go to the hospital, if my wife needs to go to a doctor's appointment, I don't have to walk into someone office and beg them to take my wife to go somewhere, and then they frown upon it, right? Now, because they knew the situation, there was not a lot of friction there. But it's like when we're ready, because me and my wife, we love to travel. Okay, we love to travel, and because she had the kidney transplant, right? She lost her kidneys about 2 years ago. So when she had the kidney transplant, she's not able to travel as she used to. And of course, the pandemic happened, right? But the thing is, we used to love to travel. So we're talking about birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's Day, kids' birthday. And every time we're going somewhere, we're always going somewhere. So when I'm taking my wife to the doctor, that wasn't bad, right? Because they know I had to take her. But then when I want my time to go and enjoy myself, they'd be like, "Yo, you just took the day off to go to the doctor." I'm like, "Yeah, but I need to have my time as well." So that's the thing, right? When you're investing, that's why I wanted freedom. Everybody wants some kind of freedom, right? To do what they want when they want. I wanted to do what I want when I want to do it. I didn't like when people tell me I can take vacation. I didn't like to fill out a form and say, "Listen, here you go. This is my vacation that I'm asking for." It pisses me off sometimes because it just, for me, that's me, right? I don't want to get, that's me, right? So that's why I wanted the freedom. I wanted to be able to do what I want when I want. I want to be able to provide for my kids. I want to be able to provide for my wife. I want to be able to provide for my parents as well. I want to be able to, take trips. I want to be able to say, you know what, if I'm ready, if I want to go to the beach, we could drive to the beach, right? If I want to go somewhere right now, I can do it. I can do it. So the freedom of doing anything you want when you want, it's a blessing. Okay. But you have to start somewhere. I started somewhere. I made sacrifices. And that's the thing that you're gonna have to do as well. There's times where when you coming in, you gotta say, all right, you know what? This is what I need to do. And if I need to do this, then maybe I can't do that. And you have to be okay with it. You can't keep on doing the same thing and expect to get a different result. That's called insanity. So for you to get a different result, for you to better yourself, that means that you're gonna have to change something. You're gonna have to chop some habit. You're gonna have to spend time on something else. You have to spend time educating yourself. You have to spend time focusing on something different than you're doing right now if you want different results. Because if you're in a situation where, all right, you need change, then change have to happen. You have to change. If you need to change your life, something in your life, then you have to change. You can't snap your fingers and it happen. You can't wish and it happen. You can imagine it, you can vision it, but it still requires you to do some kind of action, right? So with that, guys, that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about my experience house hacking and the benefits that comes with it. Like I said, this month I'm talking strictly about house hacking, the easy way of you getting into real estate. But one of the things that I like about real estate, again, is the freedom. What I like about real estate is that you can now take properties, or you could now create generational wealth, right? You could take the idea, you could take the actions, and then you could give it to your kids. You could show your kids how to buy properties. So a lot of times when we look at it, most of our generation never even think about buying something, right? My mom have a piece of property, my dad have a piece of property, so they bought houses, right? So for me seeing that, I wanted to own something of my own. But there's some people that the only thing they know of is renting. Their parents rent, they rent, or their parents rent, their grandparents rent, everybody rent. So they feel like, the thing for them is rent. It's all rent. And it have to come down to it to where you say, all right, enough is enough. I need to change the dynamics of my generation. I need to change the dynamics of where I want to be in the future. And I need to break that cycle. I need to break that chain. And how am I going to break the chain is I got to do something different than what they did. They may have never educated themselves in real estate or investing in something. Let me go ahead and let me invest in something that can bring me a return in the future, or show my kids a different way, right? And it's all about, for me, is showing my kids different ways. Every single program, every single thing, every coach I've had in my life, I've fed it into my kids. So if I spend money on any single program, I fed it to my kids. I sit them down and I talk to them about it. So they can't say I never gave them anything as far as mindset wise, because I can't wait to see what we always look at it and say, man, I wish I knew this. Everybody right now can agree with me. It's like, at some point in your life, you're going to say, I wish I knew this when I was 18. Or I wish I knew this when I was 16. Man, life would have been different. So my kids can't say that shit. My kids can't say, I wish I knew this, because unless it's something way different in the future that's going on. But anything that has to do with real estate, anything that has to do with investing, anything that has to do with, personal finance, anything that has to do with credit, anything that has to do with business, I'm feeding it to them every single day, every single chance I get. I'm feeding it to them. So that's why real estate was important in my life and is important in my life, because it gives me the freedom. It gives me the tools that I'm able to help my kids and their grandkids and my grandkids, right? And great grandkids in the future, because what I'm teaching them now, right, is invaluable, right? It's invaluable, because what I'm teaching them is way more, because they're going to teach it to their kids. And when their kids grow up, their kids is going to teach it to their kids. And this is the cycle that I'm creating right now. And this is a thought process that we have to do, right? That we have to think about. Because when my son say he's going off to college, guess what he's going to do? He's going to house hack. We're going to buy a property wherever he wants to go to school. We're going to buy a property and he's going to rent that shit out, or he's going to have roommates, or we're going to do something, get a duplex or a triplex or even a single family house. We're going to rent that shit out and let him rent it out with other people. And we will let him collect rent. We probably would let him collect rent as well, because I'm going to teach him that part of it as well, right? So that he understands the whole thing. And then afterwards, it's his. He could keep it, right? Instead of him going to a dorm room and we're paying for that shit and he's living in a dorm room cramped up because I went to college, cramped up in a space. Nah, I'd rather buy a property, let that property gain equity over time. We can use it as a write-off, right? Other people paying off the mortgage, right? And at the end of the day, we can do something with it in the future and it can cash flow for us. So guys, that's what I wanted to talk about, just my experience, why I'm into real estate, why I do real estate. Everybody have different reasons why they do real estate. That's my reason. But yeah, guys, let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to stay on for a little bit. What's up, Tara? Let's see here. What's up, Reggie? Here. Okay. All right. All right, guys. So that's it for me. So I'm going to talk to y'all later. Reach out to me. Like I said, reach out to me. I'm going to have a webinar next week. So with a webinar next week, I'm going to have a live webinar next week, Thursday. Okay. Reach out to me if you want to register for it. I'll have the link soon. But for right now, reach out to me, DM me if you want to get into the live webinar. I'll get you registered. It's going to be power packed. It's going to show you how you could get started in investing in real estate. Really, I'm giving you the game in it, right? How you could get started, where you could find properties, how you could find properties, analyzing deals, all that stuff. power pack in that webinar. So make sure you reach out to me if you want to register for that as well. All right, guys, have a good night.